In the music industry, there are stars, and then there are people who quietly shape the stars. For more than 5 decades, one name has appeared behind some of the biggest careers in modern music: Clive Davis. Whitney Houston, Barry Manilow, Alicia Keys, Jennifer Hudson. Some call him the greatest record executive of all time. Others see him as the blueprint for an industry where image, marketing, and commercial success sometimes outweighed artistic freedom. Today, we're opening one of the biggest files we've ever covered. We're looking at documented triumphs, documented controversies, and the questions that have followed Clive throughout his remarkable career. Replay crew, grab your files. The shop is officially open. Before Arista, before Whitney, before the Grammy parties, there was Columbia Records. By the early 1970s, Clive Davis had become one of the most powerful executives in the business. But in 1973, everything changed. Following an internal investigation, CBS dismissed Davis over expense account irregularities involving personal expenditures that the company said had been improperly charged to corporate accounts. The controversy made national headlines and threatened to end one of the fastest rising careers in the music business. Davis has maintained that many of those expenses reflected common industry practices at the time and later shared his perspective in his memoir, The Soundtrack of My Life. Whether viewers see him as unfairly targeted or properly held accountable, one thing is undeniable: this moment could have ended his career. Instead, it became the beginning of an entirely new chapter. Most people never recover from being fired at the top. Clive Davis built something even bigger. In 1974, he became the driving force behind Arista Records, a label that would eventually help launch and develop some of the biggest artists of the next 4 decades. Barry Manilow, Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin's later career, Alicia Keys, Jennifer Hudson. What made Clive different wasn't that he could hear great singers. Many executives could. His reputation came from identifying songs, producers, arrangements, and marketing strategies that could transform talent into global success. Supporters called him a visionary. Critics argued he exercised extraordinary influence over artists' commercial direction. Whichever side you land on, the Clive Davis method became one of the defining business models in modern popular music. When we look at the life of Whitney Houston, we have 2 primary files that often contradict one another. In his memoir, The Soundtrack of My Life, Clive Davis describes a partnership built on mutual respect and artistic discovery. He paints a picture of a mentor who protected a once-in-a-generation voice from the chaos of the industry. But then we have the Robin Crawford file. In her memoir, A Song for You, Robin describes a machine that required Whitney to submerge her true self to fit a global pop blueprint. Robin details the exhaustion and the feeling that Whitney was constantly on for the label. When you watch Whitney's own interviews from the late 90s, you see a woman navigating these 2 worlds. Sometimes she praised Clive as an industry father. Other times her frustration with the prom queen image was visible. Was it a cage or was it a compromise for legendary success? I'm laying both memoirs on the desk for you. Which one feels like the truth? Now let's open the file on the sophisticated Lady Phyllis Hyman. Unlike Whitney, Phyllis was incredibly vocal during her lifetime about her friction with Arista and the industry at large. In documented interviews, Phyllis spoke candidly about feeling overlooked in favor of artists who were easier to fit into a pop mold. She once said the industry wasn't looking for her soul, they were looking for puppets. The question for us is, was this a personal conflict with label leadership or a systematic failure to market a Black woman who refused to be standardized? Phyllis's words suggest she felt the machine simply didn't have a gear for her authenticity. We have to weigh in on the label's decisions and if they were strictly business or if they missed the mark on a legend. By the 1990s, Clive Davis was no longer simply discovering artists. He was helping shape an entire generation of music executives. One of the most recognizable names associated with the era was Sean Diddy Combs. Through Arista's relationship with Bad Boy Entertainment, Davis supported the label's distribution and growth during one of hip-hop's most influential periods. In recent years, as legal allegations involving Diddy have generated enormous public attention, some online commenters have revisited Clive Davis's long professional relationships within the industry. It's important to distinguish documented business relationships from online speculations. Public records establish their professional connection. Beyond that, many claims circulating online remain unverified. So let's get into the conspiracy theories. Everything discussed here represents public theories and online speculation, not established fact. Over the years, some fans have pointed to the number of legendary artists associated with Clive Davis whose lives ended in tragedy or were marked by personal struggles. Others speculate about the influence of elite industry events like the annual pre-game Grammy Gala, suggesting they symbolize the power networks that shape careers behind the scenes. Supporters reject those ideas entirely, arguing that these gatherings are exactly what they appear to be: high-profile networking events attended by music's biggest names. At this point, there is no verified evidence establishing the more extraordinary theories, but the fact that people continue discussing them tells us something important about how mysterious and powerful the music business can seem from the outside. The final receipt. Its influence. Whether you see Clive Davis as a visionary executive, a demanding perfectionist, or a complicated combination of both, his fingerprints are over modern music. His supporters point to the extraordinary careers he helped build. His critics ask whether commercial success sometimes came at too great a personal cost. Perhaps the real file isn't about proving one side right. Perhaps it's about understanding how one executive helped shape the soundtrack of generations and why his legacy continues to spark decades later. Thank you for watching The Candy Shop. This wraps up the Clive Davis file. I hope you enjoy it. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the